Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the live stream. Welcome everybody. Oh yes, I have to tweet that out. I completely forgot to do that. Normally I prepare in advance. But yeah, today we're going to be adding in the island generator and fixing up the changes system, which is the thing that allows us to undo and redo changes that we made to the map. So I'm going to be adding the chunk add and remove change, as well as modifying the current map modification change to make it more efficient, because right now it copies the entire map, which isn't very good. So we're going to do something a little better than that. So I'm just going to tweet it out. Morning. Alright, I'm just going to get that link. Good morning. Alright, it's all up. Alright, so welcome, guys. So I just want to show you guys real quick. So I downloaded, here I'm just going to delete this stuff. I downloaded the, this is the code for the island generator that I made. I made it like about a year ago. It was August 26th, 2016. So it was last summer. So I have the code in here. It's really not a lot. It's 4 classes, so one of them I didn't even make. It was just a it's a simplex noise algorithm. So I use that, and the other 3, this one here generates a map. So it generates the noise array. So basically what that is, it's an array of a specified size that is what do you call it? It's filled with float values from 0 to 1, and then depending on those float values we can set tiles depending on where it is in those float values, and it makes kind of these nice islands. I could probably show you guys real quick how that all works. It'll just take a couple minutes for me to get it set up. And then we'll there's a couple things I want to do first, and then we're going to implement it into the map generator. Oh, actually, what if I refresh this? Maybe that'll work. No. It'll just take a few minutes to import it with Gradle. And I'll show you guys how I can modify the settings for the generator as well, and what they do. Okay, it's complaining about this. Okay, there you go. So this is the generator. So as you can see, you can't tell that there's chunks, but this is all chunks. And if you scroll through, it loads the new chunks and generates the map for them. Actually, I was playing around with the settings the other day, but I'm looking at this, and this really doesn't look that bad. I think this is probably the best. We're gonna get it, I think. If you imagine each pixel as one tile. So I guess once we put it in the map editor, it's going to be much more obvious if this is a good scale. But even then, it's very easy to adjust the scale. Here, I'll show you guys real quick in here. So this is the scale value here. So just say we put 1 here. Actually, yeah, no, I think that would be a good size. So you can see it kind of zooms out. So that means that, well, it doesn't actually zoom out. It's just each island has less pixels in them. So the lower we put the scale, so we do 0.005 instead, the more pixels are used to create these shapes. Therefore, the islands would be much bigger. Like in this case, these islands would be huge. The beach would be like chunks and chunks wide, which is a bit too much, I think. But we'll have to play around with that in the map editor. I think this is a good scale, but we'll have to see for real. Like this would probably be 5 tiles wide, that little beach part there. Okay, so let's close this and let's go into the map editor. So let's work on those 2 change classes. So I'll just show you guys what I mean by that. So right now, if you run the map editor, I have to wait for everything. So if you run it, we'll just create a new map. So you can see that, hold on a second. So we can add chunks and we can delete chunks, but the problem is that you can't recover the chunks, or you can't undo the operation of adding chunks or deleting them. Like see, if we make some modifications to this chunk and we select it and we do remove, remove, and then we click add, it just deletes our progress. So I want to make it so that we can undo the delete and add chunk operations. So yeah. Also, right now, whenever you do a modification to the map, it's probably not a huge deal. But memory-wise, it can be pretty bad. Even if you just put 1 tile, it's going to copy the entire map and save it all. So what I want to do is I want to make it more efficient. I want to make it so that it copies the chunk that you edited and all the other chunks that you edited. So just say you cross multiple chunks while drawing a line, it's only going to copy those chunks that you've edited. And then later when you undo the move, it's just going to re-edit those ones. So yeah, that's my idea for that. Okay, so let's just do the, I want to do the, I'll do the add and remove chunk changes first. I think that would be, oops. It's more of a visual change, so we'll get started with something more visual. Then after that, we'll work on the other thing, because the other thing you really won't notice it when you're editing. It just saves a lot of memory. Maybe you would notice if you're checking the memory usage of the application, but so we'll call it chunk. I don't know if I should split add and remove into 2 different ones. Yeah, I might as well put two different. Chunk add change. And that extends the change class. So what would we do if we undid that change? We would basically be deleting that chunk. So let's make it pass in a chunk. But we need to clone the chunk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the chunk class, I'm going to add some methods to clone it. Okay, well, we already know how to clone it, but I also want to have one to set the values. So public void set. It's basically the same thing as this. Except you're setting it on a chunk that already exists, so it's actually the exact same code, which is kind of funny, actually. I find. Okay, so undo. Oh wait, first of all, we should be cloning this. So new chunk. Okay, so when we undo an add operation, we're basically just deleting a chunk. So we can just do, we should take in a map, I think, too. Okay, so we remove that chunk, and then when we redo, we basically just add it. Yeah, because it's going to be blank anyway. Yeah, so we're just going to save the X and Y of the chunk. My voice is kind of cracking a little bit there. Hey, we have a lot of views right now. I wasn't even paying attention. Welcome, everybody. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to chat in the comments. I've actually been paying attention, unlike usual. At least to the comments. I wasn't paying attention to how many viewers we had on right now, but I think it should be okay to put the Twitch alerts back on, so I'm going to do that. Yeah, it was a bit weird. I have this thing called Twitch alerts, which notifies me on the well, it notifies the stream when someone subscribes. It does like a pop-up. But it's been kind of glitching out these days, and it's just been showing the pop-up constantly for each person who subscribed since the last stream. So at the beginning of the stream it would just pop up like crazy, so now I'll have to take the habit of shutting it down, which is a bit annoying. Wow, the stream quality is not very good right now, eh? Okay, so that's all, I think. And now let's do the remove one. Remove, we're going to have to copy the values for sure. Okay, so class, chunk remove, change. Let's also extend as change. Let's just generate the constructor. Be much easier that way. Okay. Actually, this needs to duplicate the chunk, so we'll use the duplicating constructor. And the map, that's fine. We don't need to duplicate the map. Oh, in the map, we need to add a new method here. It's going to be an add chunk method, but with a given chunk. So int x, int y, and also give it a chunk. So we'll just cut all of that out of there. Okay, there you go. So that'll work now. So when we undo a remove of a chunk, we're basically adding it back. So we'll do map.addChunk. So that would be chunk.getX, chunk.getY, and then the chunk. And if we are redoing it, it would be removing the chunk. So remove chunk, chunk.getX. Hello, how's it going, guys? Okay, let's just try this out now. So it'd be in the map here. So I'm actually going to put it directly in this thing here. So right before we start adding in the chunk and whatever, we're going to do editor dot. Oh, we don't have access to the editor here. Okay, so we need to give the map access to the editor so it can add its own changes. So main editor, private main editor. Okay, so now we do editor dot get changes list dot add changes, and we're going to create a new chunk add change. It would be this X and Y, and then same for the remove here. We'll have oops. Okay, so we actually need to put the change in here. So that would be editor.get change list.add changes, new chunk remove change, because we need to have access to the chunk. So this, and the chunk would be row.get chunks.get at I. Or actually, I'm going to put it down here. Index to remove. Oh yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. I've never really had any issues with it though, because usually when I use a map class, I'm just using a hash map directly. I don't use the interface. Although it might be better design if I use the interface, but yeah, I just use hash map. So I never just do like map is equal to new hash map. I just always keep it in a hash map state. So I never really get into issues with that. But yeah, that is a good good observation. I don't know, I could have called it game map or something like that. That would have made more sense. But I've never had any issues with it, so I'll just stick with that for now. Okay, so oh, there's an error. Oh yeah, when you're initializing the map, we need to pass in the editor now. Okay, so let's, oh, there's some errors here. Add chunk. What's the null pointer exception in here? Get change list. It's because I can't refer to this? Is that the issue? I kind of doubt that. What line is that? 59. Okay, add chunk. And it goes on to 63. Must be one of these things that's null pointer, but I don't really get why. Okay, because you created a map differently here. I should be putting that in there as well. Okay, so there's going to be an error in here. We need to pass in the editor. Do we have access to it? Alright, looks like we're going to have to give it access. And I believe that it's inside. No, it's okay like that. Okay, this should be okay now, I think. Let's close the other one. Test. So if you do add, we can, oh, it doesn't work to do undo. I do remove and I try to undo that. There's also something else I need to do as well when I do changes. Like if I look in the pencil here, I also need to set the editor save state to false. But I don't think that's the issue though. But that is something I should be doing, so at least now that I remember it, I'll do it. The chunk tool does use the add and remove methods, right? I'm guessing. The add chunk, yeah. Let me try again, because I think it may have been a thing with the keyboard focus. I've been having some bugs with that. Like, see, I can't zoom in right now because I need to click on the map to change the focus. So maybe it was an issue with that. Like if I do this, there you go, see? And if I try to redo it, okay, that doesn't. Keeps bouncing back. Okay, well that's a bit of a bug, I think. So if I undo, and if I redo, doesn't seem to be working that well. Okay, I select this, I delete it. Doesn't even get deleted. Okay, well there's some bugs in here, of course. So in the undo, I'm just removing a chunk. Is that proper to do? I think it should be okay. And then redo, just re-adding it in. Oh, that's the thing, it's doing it recursively, right? Because I'm calling add. Oh, wait, no. Yes, well, when I'm calling add, it's creating a new change. And when I'm calling remove, it's creating a new change. So that's I should add in a Boolean value here. Into Boolean. Silently. Or not even. The way I should be doing it is not even this way. I should be putting it in the chunk tool. So before I use the chunk tool to add a chunk, so it'd be in here. Oh, it takes in a map, that's right. So editor.getMap. Okay, so I should add a .getChunk method for the map. Okay, hold on a sec. I just want to make sure that I got this all sorted out. So the remove seems like it's good. Okay. Okay, so let's add in that getChunk method. So public void getChunk and x int y. Oops. Okay, so we're basically just looping through the different things, checking if and finding if finding the chunk. So return chunk here, and if we don't find it, we return null. Whoops, forgot to make it return chunk. I also have a does chunk exist method here. Somewhere here. Does chunk exist? So I'm going to change that. I'm going to make it do return this dot get chunk at x and y is not equal to null. Also, you can remove access to the editor from this class. So that's going to cause a couple little bugs here. Just have to yeah, I think that's it. Whoops. Get chunk. Instead of having this boolean here as chunk claimed, we're going to save a chunk. No. I don't want to play with that too much. We'll just do this. So what is it again? Selected chunk X. Selected chunk Y. Still an error? Probably just a bracket thing. Yep. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's select some chunks. So add. Whoa, that's weird. So add. Add changes. Okay, so is selected chunk claimed. So this is removing it. This should be good. One issue I'm seeing as well is that if we're redoing and undoing it, then the button doesn't get updated to whether it's claimed or not. So that's a really big annoyance for such a little feature. I'm honestly considering just changing the button to just add remove. And whenever it's clicked here, so I would do chunk is equal to editor.getMap.getChunk. Selected chunk y. Chunk is not equal to null. Then do this, and if it is equal to null, then do that. Remove that. Okay, and this is for selecting the chunk. We don't need this anymore. And in the add components now, we have the J button. I'm just going to call it add remove. It's just going to make things much easier. I don't know, it seems like it's still not working. Okay, well here's a problem. Make sure you got the X and Y is good. Actually, that may have been the only issue. Okay, now if you click on this. Okay, so that works. What if we redo it? Okay, so they get added back. Now let's click on it and then click remove. Okay, so that seems to be working. So if I click remove for here, I click on it and I click undo. Let's just make sure it works for this. So now we go into here, click on this, click remove. And if you undo it, there you go, copies it right back in. Although that rendering looks weird though. Oh no, it's just normal because we're in the chunk. Here, look. So if we go into the chunk thing, it adds in those borders. That's why the rendering was weird. Okay, cool. Okay, so you got that all working now. You didn't have to bother with this thing either there for the add or remove. We'll just keep it as one thing. That makes things much easier. I guess what's left is to add in the, oh yes, I want to optimize the other thing first. So let's just do that. No, I don't need to create a new class. It's already an existing class. It's the map change one. So we pass in the map change. But basically, it's just copying the entire map, and I don't really want to do that. Actually, I'm just going to go to the washroom real quick. I'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll add this in. I'll show you guys my idea for that. It's going to be much better than I think this way. Alright, I'm back. So I was thinking a little bit about the implications of this, and it's going to be a little bit complicated, I think, but it shouldn't be too bad. Okay, so let's just get into it for now. So I'm just going to delete this because I'm not going to need that anymore at all. So how this is going to work, it's going to keep track of which chunks were modified. You do chunks. So the change would actually be able to be modified. So just say the person is dragging their mouse on the screen, then the current change is just going to continually be updated. Actually, no, it's easier than I thought, because I was thinking of something that would be bad, but never mind, doesn't apply. So the person be continually modifying with their mouse, and whenever they enter a new chunk, it's going to copy that chunk first, and then it's going to edit it, and then it's going to go back into the other chunks. So it's really not that bad, but we're going to need some extra array lists. So I'll rename this one to edit chunk, edit redo chunk, and this one would be chunks, and array list. Redo chunks. Okay, so we're gonna have to initialize these things, at least two of them. So edit chunks is equal to new array list of chunks. Okay, so when we do a map change, we should actually copy, no, we shouldn't do anything just yet. So we're going to add in a new method in here. It's going to be an add chunk method. Chunk. So it's actually going to take in a chunk. Whoops, this needs to be a void. So this is going to do chunks.add chunk, and we also need to duplicate the chunk, so we're going to put it in edit chunks.add new chunk. So what this is doing is it's putting a reference to the chunk itself, the one that's still in the map, into an array list, and it's has another array list of the ones to copy. So what's going to happen is that when we undo the changes, we're going to go through all these chunks here in this list, and we're going to set their values to the one in the edit chunks. So here, I'll just do that right now. So for we're going to use indexes for this. Is less than chunks.size. I++. Actually, just mark it a quick to do here. Save reload chunks. Whoops, not redo chunks. So we have redo chunks.get at index of I dot set. We created that before, so we're going to be setting the values of that chunk to the value of edit chunks.get at I. I think that's all. Whoops. And for the redo, we don't even need this. Just do that. Okay, so redo chunks is equal to new array list of chunk. So for chunk in chunks, we're going to do redo chunks.add new chunk like this. So basically it's doing the same as for the edit chunk list. I want to create a boolean in here as well. So as soon as you do undo changes, we're going to set finished editing to true. And in here we're going to do if not finished editing. So I don't want to make it possible to add in new chunks after an undo operation has happened. Okay, so copy chunks to redo, undo changes to chunks. Okay, and then in the redo, I think we just basically apply the redo chunks. So do the same thing as this, except this is redo, like that. I think that's all. So right now, if we just keep it this way, it's not going to do anything. So we need to add it into the pencil and also the bucket tool to call this add chunk whenever a new chunk has been edited. Or before it's been edited, I should say. I also want to add in one more thing in here. So I'll make this protected. Protected boolean does chunk exist. So for chunk okay, so this is just going to check to make sure that we don't already have the chunk in the list first. So if not, does chunk exist? Chunk. And yeah, so let's implement this into the pencil tool real quick. So in here we added the changes, which is good. But we also need to give the, we need to keep track of the map change. Okay, and we need to do change.addChunk editor.getMap.getChunk, and we need the X and Y of the chunk that we're getting. How do I calculate that again? should have it in here. There you go. Okay, so we add in the current chunk, so when it gets clicked. And then in here, so basically, well, we don't copy it completely. In the touch dragged, before we draw a line, we also need to do this. Not this. We're keeping the same one, so change. We add in the chunk of the touch drag, and when the mouse click goes up, we need to change is equal to null. So we're just nullifying that change, so then that's it. There's no more association with it. We're not editing that one anymore because we're going to be creating a new one. I didn't actually have to do this, but I think it's good to do it anyways. Okay, so let's just try this out now. So we shouldn't be able to notice any difference from before. So if I edit it, I can undo like that. Perfect. Okay, so let's add some chunks. So if I edit all of them, it should just be one undo operation. Undo and redo should work as well. Okay, well I made it crash somehow there. Oh hey, sorry I didn't see your comment. Well, thank you, William. We also need to implement this into the bucket. I also want to do another efficiency for the bucket as well. Because the bucket fill algorithm is fairly heavy. I mean, it used to be much worse on the CPU. But basically what's happening... Actually no, it's not that bad. I was thinking like if you drag like this, it's probably making it lag a lot. Like here, let me get my CPU monitor up. Oh, maybe it is. Here, just dragging around with the bucket. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Because I thought it would be redoing the bucket fill over and over again, but I guess it ends quickly because it checks all around, it sees that they're all the same one, and then so it's it should be okay, I think then. Seems as though some of the undo operations just aren't working anymore. Okay, yeah, for the bucket, of course it doesn't work. I need to implement this thing in. Okay, so let's do that. It's basically the same as before. So map, change. We're getting there. We're going to get to the procedural generation like in a couple minutes now. It won't take long. Change is equal to this. Okay, so we add that in, and also on the touch up we should do change is equal to null. Don't have to do it, but it makes things a little bit better, I think. Oops. After we do the generator stuff, I think I'm gonna go, but it should take a little bit of time anyways, so I haven't eaten breakfast yet. Okay, there you go. So this works now. So you do like that, and we should be able to redo it. There you go. So yeah, that's much more efficient than it was before. I should really add a hotkey for adding and removing. Well, I guess actually no. Whoops. I'm happy I added in that undo for the remove, because that would have been a real pain. Okay, there you go. Here I want to try something. If we bucket fill like this, it should all undo in one shot. There you go. Perfect. Alright, so it seems to be working really well now. So let's add in the generator. So this is in the chunk tools class. So we need to add in a combo box. I'll get the combo box code from there's another tool that uses it. It's the entity adder tool. Okay, so add component. Okay, so we'll add in a layer, a label, I should say. JLabel generate label is equal to new. Here, I'll copy all this in here. Okay. Whoops. The y of this would be 1. GBC generate label dot grid width, set that to 3. Okay, so that adds in the label. So now let's add in the combo box. So final, was it the J combo box? J combo box. Okay, and it takes in a type of the value. Okay, so we should probably create a generator class then. So tools, let's create a package called generators. It'd be an abstract class called generator. Or actually I should say that this should guess it should return a chunk. Yeah, so that'd be good. So this would be the X and Y of the chunk. So you can make a new chunk and then generate data into it. Yeah, sure, that's fine. So combo box of generators. Generator combo box. New J combo box. Generator. Okay. Okay, so I'm setting preferred size there. I guess I might as well do that. Then you add in the values. Generator combo box dot set preferred size. Okay, so let's add generators. So I'm only going to implement 2 generators. I'm going to implement the procedural generation one and also one that just completely makes the map blank. It just erases it. I'll call it like a reset generator or something. Okay, so I'll add the generators there, but I also need to create the grid bag layout. Constraints, I should say. Generate combo box. I guess I'm going to add this as well. Generator combo box. Okay. Alright, so that combo box should be added. There won't be any values to start out because I haven't created any generators. But it should be there, and I'm going to also add in a button. I'm just going to copy this in. Okay, so let's create some comments here. So combo box generate and this is narrate button. Okay, so I need to rename all of this. So this is a J button generate button. The Y of this should be 2, so it should be 3. Let's do width of 3 for that. Okay, so this is what's going to happen when the button is clicked. So we're going to, when the generate button's clicked, we're going to do generate combo box dot get selected item. I don't know why it returns an object though. That's kind of annoying, because if it just followed standard rules of generic types, it wouldn't have to do that, but whatever. Generate. Oh, we also have to check if is chunk selected and do this. All right, and then this returns a chunk. And with this chunk value, we do editor dot get map dot get chunk, selected chunk X, selected chunk Y, dot set to chunk. Now we also have to add in the changes for this, like we did before. So we do editor dot get change list dot add changes, new map change, editor dot get map. Although we can't pass it in directly like this, we need to do change. So map change is equal to change dot add chunk. Editor dot set just save to false. Okay, so it gets the chunk of the map, creates a new map change, it adds that chunk, and then it adds the change to the change list, sets the save status of the editor to false, and then we generate a new chunk using the data from that chunk. No, not even. And then we get the map chunk and we set its values to the generated chunk. So that's it. Yeah, I think that's everything really. So let's just run it just to see what it looks like. Okay, so I want to set the width a little bit, the height a bit higher. Also, this is, oh yes, I set the visibility to false. Okay, yeah, I remember why I did that. So I'll do that for the other ones. I just want to upgrade, change this real quick. This should be maybe like 35. So generator combo box dot set visible to false, and same for this. Generator label dot set visible false. And basically what happens is when a chunk gets selected, all these things, the visibility gets updated to true. Okay, so I need to keep track of all of them. So what is there? There's the JLabel, generator label, is that what I called it? Generate label. And what did I call the combo box? Generator combo box. generate button. Okay. And basically we just need to do generate label dot set visible to true. Generator combo box set visible true, and generate button dot set visible to true. Okay, so let's just run that, see what it looks like. So there's nothing there. Okay. Maybe we should add some padding to this or something, just to make it look a little bit better. But not bad. How do I do padding again? I have it somewhere in here. Maybe the pencil tool, there should be something on that. Ah, there you go, inset. I believe that's it. Oh, maybe not. See, the button has an inset value. Okay, there you go. So this is going to give a null pointer exception because I don't actually have any generators in that combo box. So none of them could have been selected. So let's implement some generators now. I can remove that. This as well. Okay. Here, let's do island generator. This extends generator. Okay, so let's go to that code that we have here. So in the tools, I'm going to add in the simplex noise. Can I just do this? Okay, there you go. And we're going to need to take some stuff from the chunk manager here. Okay, so let's take this here. We're going to need that. Noise gen. What is the noise gen here? Oh, it's an instance of the open simplex noise. I shouldn't be cutting anything out. Oh, and I need some values in here. So it takes a seed. Okay, that's cool. So what I want to do is I want to generate the seed based off the map name. So string map name. Or here, I should just make it pass in the map. map.getName.hashcode. So every time you create a map with the same name, it should generate the same island, which is, or anything else, because we're also going to be using this for other things as well. Not just islands, but, you know, different things. Okay. So let me check my options here for the chunk class. Okay, so we can create a chunk data class and then feed that into a chunk. So let's do that. So chunk data is equal to new chunk data. Data dot x is equal to x. Data dot y is equal to y. So we'll create this 2D array called noise. It's equal to generate Dave noise. So the start x would be x times, what would it be? It would be chunk data dot size and y times chunk data dot size, and the width and height would be chunk data dot size. Now the octaves, the roughness and the scale, we're going to be doing the same as for that. It seemed pretty good, I think. For you guys who were around since the beginning of this stream, I showed you guys the island generator. It seemed like a pretty good value, I think, for it. Okay, so then what this is doing is it's getting these values and it's sending it to the chunk class to load in those tiles based on that. So yeah, let's do that. I just want to make sure in the chunk data class that it loads. Where is it? It's probably in source shared actually. Chunk data. Okay, so when it automatically has the size. So for int r is equal to 0, r is less than chunk data dot size, r plus plus. For int c is equal to 0, c is less than chunk data dot size, c plus plus. Okay. So I'm just copying this in. It's obviously not going to work, but okay, so this is setting it to blue. So this is for the ocean, like the deep ocean color. So we don't have a deep ocean color just yet. So let's just comment that. So ocean, shallow water. This would be the sand, grass, forest, mountain, high mountain, or maybe I should call this hill, mountain, peak. So we'll be doing data dot tiles at rc is equal to I don't have tile types, okay. So we're gonna need access to the asset manager in here. Or no, not even. No, because I'm just setting the string values. Okay, so I can close this. Let's go into the assets here, shared map elements tiles. So let's see the different ones that I have. So we're gonna have to do water like this. This will also do water. Don't have any sand, unfortunately, so we'll set this to grass. This will also be grass here. Actually, I want to try something. Data.elements rc is equal to, I'll put trees in the forest part as well on top of grass. Although it's going to be a really thick forest that way, but that's fine. Tree. Then the mountain, we'll just put some stuff. We'll put like we'll put dirt there for the mountain. I don't know why I wrote Durst. New chunk, and give it the data. And I wouldn't even be surprised if that's done. So we need to add in this generator to it. So generator combo box dot add item, new island generator. We have to give it editor.getMap. We don't even need the asset manager anymore. Alright, let's try this. If it works first shot, I'm going to be really happy. Huh. Oh, wait, we need to add it in first and then generate. There you go, it's working. Procedural generation, although we don't have all the tiles that we need to make it look really nice, it's in the game, like it's working, which is really cool. I'm thinking we need to make the scale a little bit different because it's a bit, this looks small, like this island is tiny. I'm sure there's bigger ones, but probably not that much bigger. Like see, this is another small island here. Just add in a bunch. Okay, that's okay. That's not very hard to change. So, actually, I'm curious down here what these chunks look like. Just keeps going down here. Oh, it might be the end of it. Oh, there's another island. Awesome. So yeah, and if we switch over to the pencil tool, we won't see the grid anymore. And of course, you know, we should be able to just edit this any way we want to. And yeah, so let's adjust that scale. There's also one other quick thing I want to adjust. In the generator here, you can override the toString method and return the name of the generator. So you may have noticed before in the generator combo box it said like net.holobit, all that stuff. We can just change that to island generator like this, and that should be good. Also, I want to modify the scale of it. So if we do 0.3 like this, we'll see how that looks. I want to make it so you can zoom out more than this as well too. See, now it says island generator. I should maybe add in a short cut key to doing add and remove, because this is kind of long. Or maybe the ability to move around chunks using the arrow keys. Okay, so this is the same app as before, I believe. It's just the scale is up. Yeah, because it took longer to make all that. We used the same map name, so it generated the same map, which makes sense. We can play around with other settings as well too. There's the roughness, there's a few things. Okay, so I'm going to add in one more generator real quick. So it's just going to be the reset generator. It's just going to make the map blank. Reset generator extends generator. Actually, I don't even have to do anything. I just do data like this. And if I pass in a new chunk like that, yeah, if I add the hotkeys, it's going to be much easier. But I was thinking also I can just easily just change the chunk size. Right now it's only 64. I can make it much bigger than that. If I do 128, it would be very nice. I'm going to do that quickly just to see, because it's all reliant on one constant value. That's why constants are so powerful. But yeah, I will add in a hotkey, I'm pretty sure. I'm just not too sure what would be the best way to do it, because you also have to select. Yeah, I mean, I could. Yeah, I'll do that actually. Let me just make the chunks bigger. I just want to see what it's like with a bigger chunk size. Yes, already you can see the map is much bigger. Oh yeah, well that's one issue. One thing that's not reliant on the constants is the size of the image for it, but it should generate the entire chunk. Just have to add it first. Yeah, I think I should make the chunks bigger. I think that's a good size, actually, 128. Not too happy with this map, though. Like, look, let's just create a new one with a different name. Maybe it'll be better. Whoops. Oh, it's glitching out a little now. Oh, it crashed. Where are the changes again? Where did I put that? Map change. If chunk is not equal to null, and we shouldn't allow it to have null chunks like that for that. Okay, so let's do a new map name. We'll call it world or something. It looks kind of bland too because we don't have that many tiles in the game just yet. So that's another thing that'll help once we actually start using this. Look, this is a pretty cool map, I think. Like, this would probably be snow peaked here. I still feel like the scale is a bit too low. We should adjust the scale a little more. Also, I want to make it so that the camera can zoom out more than that, because that's really not a lot once you come into that kind of size. Oh, I also want to test out the reset generator, and I want to also make sure that the undo and redo works for it. Although I'm pretty confident it'll work. What is it again? Oh yeah, camera. Where did I put the camera class? Yeah, that would be the best way to know. Just I don't have a the game can't read the new chunk system just yet. That's what I'm going to get into soon. Probably by the end of this week I'm going to get into that. Okay, there you go. Game camera. Max zoom. I think it's the opposite though. I think max zoom is how much you can go inside the image. I just never remember with this. Oh no, it's not. What's going on with the rendering of the trees there? Oh, it's because we're so zoomed out. That's really weird, actually. Yeah, this is pretty big, I think. It's a much bigger scale, that's for sure. I think the scroll should be faster too for the zoom, so let's just adjust that quickly. Zoom plus equals zoom. So that's in the world render. Zoom scale. Change this to 0.4. Okay, yeah, I keep forgetting to test out those few little things I need to do. Okay, yeah, that's much better, I think. So if you select this chunk, do generate, and we should be able to undo the generate, redo it, perfect. Let's add in a few chunks. Now if we draw into them. It's my mouse is glitching out. I think actually the bug, I was saying the other day, that it's not perfect, my system for the drawing lines. I think it's just because my mouse is glitchy, honestly. I think that's the main reason why it's been glitching out like that. Okay. Right, this is not what I want to do. So if I do this, and I click on this chunk, and I do reset generate, reset, and I should be able to undo and redo it. And if I edit these, see how long it takes to walk from one end to the other. Yeah, that's true, and there's no obstructions yet. Well, once I add in the rendering for the game, I'm definitely going to do some tests. This is not definite. It's not like I'm making the editor and then editing a big map and then putting in the game after testing it. I'm just doing this now, and I can play with these settings later in the future anyways. So once I add in the renderer for the game, I'll definitely do that. Yeah, oh, this map is huge compared to the other ones. I'm happy with this bigger chunk size too. So I just have to modify these images to scale up to that. I could probably do it kind of like a cheap way and just scale it up in the game, in the render. Well, it's not really a cheap way, it's just it doesn't look as good. But it might do the trick, so. Chunk tool, render. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't answer your question before. I saw it, but I didn't answer it. Yeah, programming in Java. This is the map editor. I also made it in Java. but the game is in Java as well too, and it's using libgdx. Okay, so that works if I just scale it up like that. And how does it look if I zoom out? Yeah, it looks fine. I was scared it was a little bit of a cheap way to do it. It's funny how when you zoom out so much, libgdx renders it almost as the full image size just zoomed out. They must have a really interesting zoom algorithm. Because look, if you zoom in, you can see it's a lot. But if you zoom out, it looks like a really small map, kind of. Like these are just a few tiles. It's kind of neat. Okay, yeah, let's add in the hotkeys, and then I think I'm gonna take a break. I haven't eaten breakfast yet, so. Okay, so what I can do is in here, I can do, so I'm thinking Control-Shift-G would be a good shortcut for hitting the generate button. And the add remove, I can just do like control space, I think would be cool. So if gdx.input is key just pressed, keys dot g and world render dot control pressed and world render I should just do shift. So private void generate. Actually, that reminds me, in the chunk class I have a generate method. I don't need that anymore. Should just delete it. So generate, and that would basically do this. And then this would private, it would call add remove. This one doesn't actually check if the map is null or not. I'm gonna, if map is not equal to null. Okay, so this calls generate. I just want to make sure this calls add remove, and this shortcut should call add remove as well. Okay, so it's Shift G and Shift space. G feels a bit far. I don't know. Whatever. Let's just do it. Okay, so if I go in this, I should be able to do Shift space. Just claim all of this. It's lagging a little bit now, I can see it. Yeah, let me see my CPU usage. 20%, that's not bad at all. And if I do Shift G, cool. I also want to make it possible to use the arrow keys, so I'm going to do that real quick. That shouldn't be too hard at all. So if here, I don't have to copy all that, or rewrite all that, I should say. Is keys pressed, keys dot up, and is chunk selected. Selected chunk y plus plus. Up left, down right. Oh hey, sorry, I haven't been paying much attention to the chat. Looks like a lot of stuff's going on. Yeah, that makes sense what you're saying. You want the starting area to be designed for new players. You want them to feel comfortable in there. Whoops, this is down, so I'm not too sure what you meant by QWER. Are those like good shortcut keys or something? Okay, there you go. That's cool. Ooh, it gets laggy rendering all of this. Oh man. What do you mean, like an RPG you start out strong and then you get weaker or something? That's actually kind of a not too bad idea. To progress through the game, you need to become weaker and start avoiding harder enemies. And still like grinding to get weaker, but you can only grind against weak enemies. Weaker and weaker enemies, I should say. Once you zoom in like this, it's really not that bad to render, but it's when you're rendering this huge map, it just becomes like insane because there's so many tiles being rendered at this point. I'm happy that I made this GPU accelerated because this would be just nuts to do only on CPU. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with the way that this map editor has turned out so far. Pretty much done everything that I've wanted to do, at least for this update of Archipelo. Oh, I just need to add in the save and load stuff for the chunks. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do that just yet. I'll have to figure that out. I kind of had some little ideas, but I'll figure out something before the next stream. So the next time I'm going to stream, I think, will be on Thursday. So if you guys want to catch that, it'll be at the same time, 9 a.m. Eastern time. So if you guys want to come join, check that out, then feel free to do so. And we're going to be working on the saving and loading of these maps using the new chunk system into a file. And maybe I'll get started on loading it into Archipelo and getting Archipelo ready for this chunk system. Okay, I'm just going to read a bit of the chat and then I'll get off. Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, Danger, is that zooming out like this is ridiculous. The first live stream I did talking about the chunk system, I was saying that players will only have access to 9 chunks at a time. So they would be kind of in the center, and it would be the chunk that they're in plus all the surrounding chunks. So that's really not too bad. Each chunk now is 128 by 128. So you do some calculations, you multiply that by 16, so 128 times 16 times 3. So that's 6,144 pixels wide. But the game also upscales the pixels by 3 times. So really, on your screen, you're going to be seeing 18,432. Well, you won't be seeing that many, but that's how many pixels wide and high that chunk would be in the game world on the player screen. So unless somebody has like a 16K monitor or something like that, like it's going to be fine. Like actually, let's test that out. 1920 times 16. Yeah, okay. What if I do 1920 times 8? So yeah, if it would still fit very well into their game screen, even if they had an 8K monitor. So I think that's proactive enough. Yeah, that's basically all I have to say. So yeah, it's going to be pretty efficient, I think, and also it's going to be more efficient on the server as well, since it won't have to do as much chunk loading and stuff like that. I won't have to load in a huge map. Yes, and check out the community Discord. Link is in the description of this live stream. Actually, I forgot to update the title of this live stream. But yeah, so you guys can join that. Links in the description. That one should still work. I think I made it a permanent one. So yeah, and I guess I'll see you guys on Thursday. So